Yeah, I'm gonna take requests, mainly for my students from Dawson here. So, yeah, Facebook Live is being extremely weird. I couldn't get a key working all night, a stream key. Then when I could, I used to be able to just share within the group that we have, but the live stream, or maybe I'm under the wrong impression, but I guess now whenever you go stream, it just goes to everybody or nobody or just, a select group of friends, which is too bad because I'd like to just broadcast to the closed group that I have for my classes. That would, don't necessarily want to be adding or answering questions for people that aren't actually in my classes, because that's really the purpose of these live streams. So I've got a cold too, so I might be sniffling, I think, all night, which is going to be nice and gross. Yeah, so let's see if I can download something too. All right, any questions? Anybody want to see some basic intro to Zbrush stuff, or what do you guys want to see? Oh no. Ugh, gross. All right. Man, awfully quiet tonight. That's okay. I'm also starting super late, so I kind of get that. Important ZBrush, or important tablet settings in general. Always want to go to your mapping and make sure you're mapping to the screen you're actually working on. And I also disable that Windows ink thing. Really sucks that whenever you get that pop-up where it wants you to like do the handwriting tool or whatever in Windows, I usually disable that Windows ink option as well. I'm also working on a giant tablet. It's the I think it's the biggest one Wacom's ever made, which is a 12-inch by 19-inch Intuos 3. Still love the Intuos 3. I'm kind of stuck on it. It's the best generation in my opinion. But then again, maybe I'm just being an old guy who doesn't like. Thank you, Glizette. Yeah, maybe I'm just being an old guy who is stuck on the tool that he mainly started working with. So the express wheels look kind of cool. They seem kind of interesting. Yeah, actually, I want to open a tool. A couple of them that I was playing with. Was it last night? Actually, I was with a few friends. Hard surface to organic blending. Okay. Now, I should warn you, in ZBrush, I don't do a lot of hard surface work, but yeah, maybe I could sort of show you a few examples. I've got a couple of, I think, crappy old tools in here somewhere. We go Lightbox. Yeah, try something like this. Why not? I'll go back to this bug thing. Yeah, I'm getting this weird error a lot. Memory error issues. Sometimes it's specific to the tool. I've had this happen a few times before with old ZBrush files. I'm also not sure what's happening with my resolution. I feel like my resolution on my screen is really weird. Yeah, I probably shouldn't change this while I'm in stream, but I feel like something's getting cut off here. Some strange issues. Well, I guess in terms of organic to hard surface, I'm not sure. I mean, maybe you can clarify that for me a bit, but I think you're probably talking about having organic and hard surfaces together in one sort of file. So, oh wow, that kind of came with everything. That's probably why I ran out of memory. Yeah, so, I mean, if you've got rough surfaces, right? Bumpy surfaces, you can go. It's funny. I probably overuse or abuse this tool too much. The damn standard. But, you can kind of sculpt along surfaces. What you can do is actually, I use one of a couple brushes in ZBrush. There's a H polish, So you see, maybe I'll sort of switch to something more metallic-y so it's easier to demonstrate. Again, I'm not a hard surface person. I'm very much an organic sculptor, but you know, so you can use this H polish. What it does is it sort of picks up the angles that the major angles that it's hitting, and then kind of hammering out a flat surface. You know, I see a lot of people too in hard surface, they use a pinch tool. So again, you want maybe the appropriate size for that tool to go across and, you know, create sharp edges. So that's kind of one way, H polish or trim dynamic, right? So you can kind of, again, that's in one sculpt, right? H polish, again, there's a slight difference. I should really double check and read up on this, but yeah, H polish seems to just follow the curvature of the surface more and give you a harder, flatter edge. That's trim dynamics, sorry. H polish, like I said, it actually seems to stick more constantly with one edge. So whatever edge it picks up, that's where it's going to try to maintain its flattening. Third option, so let's say I'm going to isolate this. So Control Shift, by the way, by default in ZBrush, it switches to this thing called the select rectangle. I should probably up the resolution on this too, just because it's maybe going to be a little bit more difficult to see. Yeah, really, man, this is on my office machine, which it's funny, I haven't used a whole lot. Oh, wow, nice crash. Yeah. Yeah, this is my kind of office machine, which I just haven't been using really at all for a little while. I've been using a laptop and a Wacom companion for ZBrush, and of course the machine at school. And I just got an Alienware laptop to play with in VR, which is going to be super fun. So I may try to do, see if I can do a live Twitch or something with the VR thing and do a sculpt in medium, which is the kind of ZBrush deal. Virtual memory. Okay, so I think I know exactly why this is happening. This is a ZPR file that I'm loading from just the quick saves. I'm not going to bother going into my library right now because, yeah, so if you notice on the right side here, I've got this huge palette of all these other models that are kind of coming with it. This is almost like ZBrush's most used documents. So yeah, I guess for my last live session, I was like going through and showing a bunch of old projects and stuff. So yeah, in this case, this is actually a hard surface style sculpt mixed in with a organic sculpt. So anyways, I can show you a couple different things to deal with that. What's this guy? Oh yeah, weird stuff that I do sometimes. Yeah, I think I was just testing out a bunch of different things here. All right, so yeah, this is basically the tool palette dock. Yeah, so somebody else asked, how do you combine two tools? So I'll get to that in a second. Yeah, let me just rotate around this guy. So yeah, that was a Z project. So again, going back, I was just going to the quick save menu in Lightbox. So Lightbox, you can get to, oh man, I've moved all my buttons around. Yeah, so there's the semicolon, or sorry, the comma key, which brings up Lightbox. So these are kind of like quick saves or auto saves. The problem is it saves every tool setting everywhere, including this whole palette area. So it's funny, actually, I believe this old insect project is the one here that had the weird memory issue, which is why I was getting that pop-up. So I have to go to reset the palette. So once I reset the palette, it kind of clears things out of that dock. It's one of the reasons I don't save a ZPR, ZBrush project file, is for that reason. Because it comes with all that mess, basically. Okay, so let me get back. I'll try to sort of show this again. So let's say if you're doing hard surface and organic in one, then it's the, this is what I tend to do. And I'll probably use like either the blend material. This is probably good because I get a nice reflective surface or a specular surface. So I'm going to solo this. Make sure I'm actually on the tool there. Solo that tool. So yeah, then I could come across here, right? I can do some pinching or whatever. Another way to do this, as I was about to get to, so I often use this tool, Control Shift, and I'm in the Select Rectangle brush. I usually switch this to the lasso version. So then what that allows you to do is kind of isolate or make visible a certain area that you want to sort of sculpt on. So Control Shift, click and drag. And it's probably grabbing some stuff from below as well. So I'm going to Control Shift Alt drag, which hides that. And now what I can do, which is kind of cool, if I grab, let's say I go to this area, I'm going to go to Clip Curve. So it tells you your Control Shift. So Control Shift is activating the Select Rectangle tool, but now, since I switched over to Curve, Clip Curve, sorry, by the way, if you notice, you see there's, where it says Select Rectangle, there's a 9, Clip Curve, there's a 0. I've assigned those hotkeys. So yeah, if I now come across a Clip Curve, clicking Alt once gives you a curvature, double clicking twice gives you a sharp edge. So this is actually another way to get kind of hard surface looking areas. Now, subtools. So let's say I have this tool and I sculpt something else, or I want to add something else to this. Well, I can actually just go to Subtool, Append. Sorry, it took a few minutes, Zombie. I don't know who Zombie is, but that's okay. If we go to, I don't know, I guess we'll go to Cone. You see that's actually appended now. Let me just get it to solo so we can see that. So it's appended right up the guy's butt. And then you can kind of, you know, if you go to that subtool, I'm going to use the move tool. So W activates move, E is rotate, R is scale. Go back to W. This is 4R7, by the way, so we're still using this at DAWSIM. 4R8 has changed the tool to a more typical, traditional looking move, scale, rotate tool. Anyway, so when you're dragging this out, especially if you're in symmetry, I find, like, I always will hold shift, because if you don't, I don't know, sometimes this thing will be angled off a little bit. And by the way, this tool, this move, rotate, scale tool, it has its own kind of genius, because basically you can live edit where the kind of start and end pivot is, or its kind of orientation by grabbing the outer orange circles. And if you grab the middle one, right, it just moves. With the move tool, if you grab the end of the tool, it sort of squashes. If you grab the other end, it kind of like flattens out. That's just in move mode. But yeah, I usually go to a side view, so I'll rotate and hold shift to snap to a view. Left click and drag out. This is called the transpose tool, which is really everything: move, scale, rotate. And then you can middle mouse, you know, grab the middle inner circle and move that tool to where you need it to be. So again, I'm holding shift to draw this out, and then I can rotate this. So it's kind of nice you have these like freeform pivots, you know. So that's kind of a boring example, right? I have a cone, so let me just delete that cone. So merging tools. So let's say you decide, oh, I want to sculpt something completely different. So I'll go to, and we'll go to the circle here. I'm going to divide this a couple times. I mean, I don't really know what I'm going to sculpt here, but that's okay. Just go to clay tubes. Oh, I got to enable make polymesh 3D so I can actually sculpt this. And we'll turn on symmetry just so I can sculpt something symmetrically. Right, so not the most interesting looking shape, but if I go back to this creature, now I can go to append again and just add that last sculpted tool in, and then there it is, right? Yeah, so let's make sure I'm on the actual tool, subtool. So I'm gonna grab that little plate thing that I made, and then there we go. So that's a few ways to get two tools together. Yeah, organic sculpting, yeah, for sure. Most of next semester, the character class is gonna be organic based. So, yeah. Hopefully you guys, sorry, I had to adjust the mic and stuff there. Can you guys still hear me okay? I hope I'm not getting a lot of background noise and stuff too, but kind of trying out a new mic setup as well tonight, so there's a lot of a lot of new stuff. So yeah, next semester is character modeling. Yeah, I don't know if I left. Yeah, I don't know if I left. So it's always funny to see your usernames. I don't know who's who, but that's okay. Yeah, so organic sculpting. Next semester is all character stuff. So we do a self-portrait that is realistic. We do a creature head. And then we do a full character, and we go through like probably 2 or 3 different stages, I think, if I remember. It's a mystery. Yes, Carlito. Yeah, so the creature sculpt, or sorry, the full character sculpt, we start in Zbrush, and then if you want, we do a high-res sculpt, we do a quick kind of texture paint or color pass, so you get kind of basic color blocking done. And that can be as high-res as you want. For some people, many people actually last semester did use that as an opportunity to build their character for their short films in 3rd year. And then we do a low-res version, so we basically go through and we can Z-remesh. Z-remesh is cool. So let's say like this guy, let me solo this. It's one of the amazing things about ZBrush. Oops, just re-dynamesh that, but that's okay. Yeah, so like this thing, as you notice, it's got 3 different polygroups, one for the little antennae, one for the kind of mandibles, and then the rest for the body. So a lot of times what we do is, especially if it's something that's more organic, and even if it's a character base, you can have a face like this. I can show you another example. I can pull up one of my old tools that's kind of unfinished, but so yeah, if we go to geometry, Z-remesh, you can actually, what this does is it creates a new model or a new layout. So right now this is dynamesh, meaning it's just this like kind of grid from everywhere, right? It sort of chops it up as evenly as it can from top, bottom, left, right, front, and back. So what I'd probably do is duplicate this. So I've got a copy of the tool. I'm in solo mode right now, so you're only seeing one copy. If I unsoloed, then you would see the 2 copies and the legs and stuff. But so I almost always work on a duplicate of the tool that I want to Z-remesh. Here you set your target poly count and thousands of polys, and then you have this really awesome option. So when it comes to things like faces, a lot of times you need very specific edge loops and stuff around the eyes, around the mouth. So you want to create polygroups. So to create polygroups, you can actually just mask an area and hit Control W. It creates a grouping. That's one way I go about it. And a lot of times I'll go into the mask lasso, right? Let me just clear that. So let's say I want to, let's try to grab these little nubby things or whatever they are. And I'll just hit Shift F so I get out of that display mode for a second. Usually I'll switch to this white shaded material when I'm doing some really specific masking, just so I can sort of see what's happening where, So I'm Control Alt clicking here to remove. And actually I might just switch to the brush mode for that. Control Alt click to paint out parts of the mask I don't want. So that's so I'm gonna just create, like I said, some polygroups for these little areas. Okay. So yeah, if you prefer, I usually like to use the lasso for a lot of selections and hiding and unhiding of stuff, but you can also paint it in, which is kind of nice too. Okay, so I'm just gonna get that last little nubby thing in. All right, so what I might do is just, it's funny, sometimes, you see stuff that just isn't working and you gotta fix it. So I'm gonna just quickly do that right now. There, just touch up the masking just a little bit. So I might just Control tap on this to soften or blur the mask. Control Alt tap sharpens it. And then I'll hit, so I'll hit Shift F so you can see this, and then Control W takes the selection and makes it a new polygroup, right? So if you have areas where you need to have like loops at a certain area, when you use ZRemesh, you go Keep Groups, and it keeps those groups, and it puts pretty specific loops there. So if I go ZRemesh now, 5,000 might be okay. It's a little low for this, but it might work. And then we hope it doesn't crash. There we go. So you guys see actually now each polygroup remains, and it gives you topology that basically followed the border edges of those groups. So that's really, really awesome. It's one really great way to get specific detail into a surface. Another way is to go in here, so you can put guides as well. So let's say I want to, so I'm going to undo and then draw some guides into some of these groove areas because I really want this detail, let's say, to follow that surface. And the adaptive tool actually looks at those curves as well as curve strength as well. So you can increase their influence. Yeah, I know. It's witchcraft. It is. That's why I say ZBrush is alien technology from the future. It's a gift from the stars. It's just amazing because you can kind of freestyle sculpt whatever you want, whatever you can imagine, and then you can actually, so let me just hit Shift F, and so Shift F is your polyframe, which I use all the time. Control W to divide. Yeah, it's free topology, exactly. So let me go down in resolution. So right now, technically I've got the new tool sitting on top of the old tool. Let me delete this stupid plate thing that I've got. So delete the old tool. So right now I've technically got two different objects sitting on top of each other. I'll go to transparency so you can sort of see that. There we go. So there's the new and the old sitting one on top of the other. I'm going to solo this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off transparency, or sorry, turn off actual visibility. Solo mode is kind of like a weird, it's just a quick isolation mode, so you can only see one mesh. But true visibility is over here in the subtool palette where you've got the little eyeballs. Yeah, I'll talk about that in a second. So how would you cut down the monster in the middle and cap poly? You mean like cut it in half and then fill in the poly area? I think that's what you're asking for, Zombie. But here, let me just show you this. So there's this really awesome option. So right now you see I've got a low res version, but the problem is it doesn't have the high res detail on that specific tool. So what I would do is go into project. Okay, so I'll come back to that, cutting the mesh and then maybe filling in the gap or capping it. So let's go. There's an area called project. So literally what it does is it looks at whatever visible models are there. If they're overlapping in the same space, it will project or copy detail from one to the other. That includes texture. So if I painted my other Dynamesh version, it would transfer what's called polypaint data, which is color, texture, and it's going to copy over sculpting data as well. So if I hit project, you see the shape change. If I control, so I'm going to divide or go up in divisions, project all, and you see it's actually grabbing the sculpting detail. So I get the best of both worlds. I get my new topology, right? New clean topology, and I can project or capture the sculpting detail from the old version to the new. So now if I go back and forth, they are pretty much identical. And I usually try to match poly count. So if I'm looking at this subtool, it's 217,000. The new one is 226 right now with 3 divisions. You know, I've captured enough detail. I will usually delete the old and then divide up and go even higher on the new one, because the new one has better topology that follows the actual surfaces more accurately. Okay, so cutting a mesh. I mean, there's a few ways to go about this. So let's say, you know, actually, I mean, this is not a good way. This is the clip curve. So actually what it does is, I don't know if you guys can see that, but it smashes all the topology flat up against wherever the curve was. If you go into the brush palette, so I'll hit, click on the brush tool, or you can hit B for brush to load that as well. I believe there's something called there's a couple of different ones. I was playing around with these a little while ago. There's the trim curve, trim lasso, trim circle. So if I go, let's say trim curve, so you have to hit control again. I think it switches this, so control shift. By the way, it doesn't like mesh. Some of these tools will not work with mesh that has subdivisions, so I'm going to just go to my lowest here in this case and delete the higher, or you can freeze, but in this case, if you want to split the mesh, it's probably best to do one of two things: either go to your lowest or your highest division. If you want to keep detail, go to your high. If you don't care about the detail, go to your low and delete the higher, right? In this case, because I'm not sure if there's any memory issues right now, I'm going to just delete the higher. Control Shift click and drag, and actually see it cut it off, plus it gave you a polygroup. In this case, we probably don't want to actually trim, so there's actually I think under B for brush, S, you can go to slice as well. So slice curve is really interesting. So if I click over, you see it automatically cuts, so it actually gives you a split in the mesh. It doesn't give you clean topology, right? There's some triangles here and there along the edge, but now if you want to split this thing off, right? So any of the slice, so B for brush, and then you go S, which is the category. There's slash brushes, but there's slice rectangle, slice curve. Anything that's curve, it's pretty much this thing where you have this line. So Control Shift will drag it out, and then Alt tapping once gives a curve. Alt tap once while you're drawing this out. Double tap gives a sharp edge. So now actually you see there's, if I quickly isolate the selection, Control Shift tap on one, right? Control Shift tap off, Control Shift tap on another. So it doesn't fill in the gap, but let's say I want to like split off the midsection. So I'm going to isolate the midsection, go to geometry, sorry, not geometry, subtool, and I'm going to go split, split hidden or split visible. In this case, I'll go split hidden. So now I've actually got, right, one active tool. If I solo this, I'm going to try to go to geometry, modify topology, close holes. And you see it actually, the cool thing too is it gives you like a new polygroup when you close the holes. And I can do the same thing if I, oops, let me solo this. What's going on there? Yeah, let's get out of solo. I'm going to Alt tap on the other tool, solo this as well, and then go to close holes. Yes, I'm gonna close my damn holes. Get out of solo. So now you've actually got, right, like memory issues, of course. I think there's something wrong. Like I've had this bug pop up a few times. Usually the way for me to fix it is yeah, I would pretty much export each subtool. So in this case, I've got a creature with legs and stuff. So I'd export each individual subtool as an OBJ, probably at their highest resolution, just so I keep all the detail. And then I would just clean wipe ZBrush. You can actually reset ZBrush and all of its preferences by going to Preferences, Initialize ZBrush. So sometimes if you get bugs and stuff, you can do that. It's funny, they had to put a button in there for that reason, but it's totally worth it. It's amazing because, you know, despite ZBrush's crashes and occasional bugs, you guys can hopefully see it's super fast, right? At organizing stuff, going from high res to low res, you know, building organic structures really, really quickly, and then, you know, being able to kind of create a lower res mesh. It's really the best. I love it. So, what's also cool about this, so like sometimes I do this, you know, I showed this example, I think last semester with the other class. So let's say we divide this mesh, you know, so if you're sculpting, what's cool about this, and you know, if let's pretend this is like a sculpture of some kind, so I could go to this tool, and this is also interesting as well. So if you grab move, scale, or rotate and control tap on a polygroup, it quickly isolates that group. And now, you know, we'll imagine this is like some kind of Greco-Roman sculpture. I'm just going to go to clay tubes and maybe go to spray. You know, now I can actually kind of create this look of like broken, let's say, you know, concrete or whatever. It's a very quick example, but so that's what's really cool about this when you do the slice curve or slice rectangle, whatever one you decide to use. Yeah. So again, it's move, scale, or rotate, and if you control tap on a polygroup, it quickly isolates it So now I can, let's say I'll gouge in on this case. Sometimes I'll blur the mask as well, which is always good to soften the edge just a bit, just so you don't get a hard edge. So control tab, there we go. Okay, so you can kind of get this look of broken pieces and all that sort of stuff. So, and I'll just soften the transition a little bit there. There. Okay. Pretty cool. There we go. So by the way, quick switch between tools is Alt Tap. So Alt Tap or Alt left click on something allows you to switch between tools as well. All right. Yeah, sorry we got started so late here. But yeah, I don't know. Hopefully I can get the Facebook thing live working again, because I obviously did have a couple sessions, but I think for some reason it would only allow me to show like show the stream to what is it, to everybody, like on my personal Facebook page, or like select friends. Even though I was broadcasting to the group, it was kind of a weird option, so I'm not sure why. Yeah, I'm not sure why it has that option now. So unfortunately, I can't just broadcast within the group by the looks of it. I'll have to try it again maybe next week, or I might do an extra session on the weekend or something, because we got started so late today. But yeah, I don't really feel like showing like every single person on my Facebook account my live stream. So, well, worst case, we can stick with Twitch, which is pretty decent. Yeah, any other questions? Oh yeah, I was gonna maybe show you guys the polygroup thing with faces. Polygrouping is really, really cool. Do I have any? Yeah, right now I gotta organize this computer and its files. Like, I'm starting to get organized on my other machines and syncing everything via Microsoft OneDrive. Let's go to Zbrush for a second. There's actually recovered files. Do I have any recovered files? Yeah, I don't want that. Load tool. Trying to think where this thing is. Yeah, sorry guys. Actually, yeah, I had one of these tools open here. Yeah, I was working on this. I don't know where. I had a more finished version of this, unfortunately, but anyways, we'll sort of take a look at this guy. So yeah, if you're Z-remeshing, just work on this one. Yeah, don't want mom to know I sculpt weird shit. Oh no, everybody knows. Everybody knows. It's all weird shit. Okay, so, oops. So yeah, I've got some basic polygroups here, like around the eyes. I mean, I don't even really like the shape of them, but that's okay. So we'll just pretend, or maybe I can dynamesh this thing at a really high resolution. Let's just try that, actually. Yeah, I don't want to keep the subdivisions. Dynamesh, hello. Oh, mask must be cleared. Okay, there's a mask somewhere. There we go. Yeah, if we, sometimes you sculpt like this, right? I'm gonna solo this. So yeah, like you're sculpting, you're doing just a dynamesh or whatever. Actually, let me just go into higher resolution with dynamesh. I'll toss out the subdivisions. Yeah, so somebody else, yeah, somebody else asked, why is this not dynameshing again? Oh, yeah. It's weird. Sometimes in Zbrush, if you undo, it goes back like 2 undos for whatever reason, or it doesn't count like certain functions as like an undo. It's a little bizarre at times, but anyways.
So yeah, what I might do, I'll just kind of mask in the area around here. Usually like eyelids and stuff are really challenging to get done. So especially if you're going just from like Dynamesh sculpting to ZRemesh. So yeah, so from like this kind of disorganized sculpt to a more organized mesh, you know, you want nice clean lines and stuff. So I'm gonna just go into this sort of shaded mode. Oops, let's do that. So I want to kind of create a polygroup for the for the edge of the eyelids, and then I'll do another one in a second here. So I'll hit Control W, so that'll give me a group there. So I may just hide that off. Usually we want something that's kind of like the, make sure it's not on the back either. We want something that's kind of like a Robin mask. So yeah, somebody said it's like a tuxedo mask. Yeah, so we'll just go in and create this kind of boop 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 Robin mask around here. And we'll just kind of round this out a little better. There. I'm just going to Control Tap a couple times to soften this, and then Shift F, Control W, oops, Control W. It looks like I got some masking behind. Sometimes that does happen, so yeah, Control Alt. So yeah, Shift F, Control W, new polygroup, and then I'll Control Shift Tap on that to hide that. So again, I usually will do a group that follows the lips here. Oops, sorry, I'm just gonna try to carefully get the lip line. So the lip line is tough too. I've seen a few students who, in their films this year, they did a low res, but then the polygroups actually don't follow the lip line from their high res sculpt. And if it doesn't follow the lip line, then you're not going to get an accurate edge to your lip. It'll actually take on another shape or smooth in an odd way. So you got to be, you know, very kind of meticulous about that. So Control W, right? And then Control Shift Tap on that. This probably all looks a bit weird to everybody, but that's okay. And then I might actually just use, I'll switch to maybe the lasso. I'll turn off perspective, by the way. You can turn off perspective so you get kind of like a flat Maya style view on things. So that gives me a nice clean loop for the most part around the mouth. Let me just try. It's going a little bit too far back. I usually like a nice equal distance around the lips here, but oops. Yeah, it's not bad. Now this masking tool, you notice it does kind of jump back through the model. You can try to turn on this thing back face mask when you're in mask mode, but sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It usually works if you're actually brushing, but when using this lasso tool, it doesn't always work. Okay, so Control W. So that's another polygroup if I hide all these guys, all right? We've got that. So again, usually what I do is I duplicate the tool. I'm in solo mode still, so I'm going to go Geometry, ZRemesh. Turn off Adaptive. Adaptive is okay, but what it does, by the way, anytime you want to figure something out about Zbrush, just hover over the button, hold Control. It actually tells you what the tool does, right? So Adaptive Density, what it does is it will kind of, where it sees detail basically, it'll look at the detail and the cluster of detail and polys in your current mesh when it ZRemeshes and try to up the poly count where it figures it needs to keep the detail. So I'm going to go to target resolution, maybe like 6,000 or something, 6,000. Turn on Keep Groups and ZRemesh. And you should see I'll actually get pretty decent topology following those polygroup lines or polygroup borders. Makeup tutorial, yeah. Where did you get rid of the parts of your face? Where? Where did I get rid of it? Well, I just went to solo, so I think I had the eyeballs separate. To hide it though is control. So once I did a polygroup, so I masked with control. There, it's not terrible. It's not good either though. So I might try to start with a higher resolution. Sometimes it's another trick with Z-remeshers. Force a higher poly count, and then you can go down and Z-remesh again. Yeah, so to quick hide polygroups and stuff, if you have polygroups, you Control-Shift-Tap on the polygroup and it'll hide it. If you Control-Shift-Tap again, it'll flip what's visible, and if you Control-Shift-Tap off the model, it unhides everything. Yeah. But in the end, it's separate. Okay, I forgot one thing you showed me. Extract. Sorry, zombie. You asked about extracting. There we go. So that's a little bit better. Sometimes too, you'll get weird polygroups. Like you see this little stray polygroup. There's like a little white one there. Sometimes it's a little buggy. We can go to polygroups, merge stray groups. And you see it just merges that tiny little bit in. So it'll kind of clean up the model that way. And again, I'll go maybe Z-remesh again. I'll just go half, let's say. What am I at poly count wise? 30,000. Z-remesh again. Usually when it comes to faces though, I'll do, yeah, it's getting a little bit too, oops. Yeah, I might actually keep adaptive on. The only problem I have with adaptive is that it takes your, the poly count that you're after, and you never get an accurate number. So that's one difficult aspect, I think, of turning on the adapt function. But anyways, I'll move on from that because somebody, zombie, wants to know about how do we extract. So extract is really useful as well. So I'll just finish this Z-remesh thing. Yeah, and by the way, I usually use the, what's it called, the automatically hide taskbar, since this version of ZBrush in Windows 10 gets a little weird. Alright, so that's that. I could divide this thing a couple times, right? And if I go to subtool, I will just make sure my other subtools are not visible, so that I can go to project, project all. There's actually some painting data, so I'm going to just see. I'll just say yes to this and see what kind of data it's going to bring in. I don't know what painting data was there, but there. So you see it actually snapshotted the sculpting detail and brought it over to the new mesh with the new layout. So the old one can pretty much go. All right. So, yeah, let's turn on all this stuff. So yeah, extracting. Yeah, basically anywhere where you have a mask. So let me just turn off symmetry. Let's say we just give this guy an interesting mask here. There we go, just hide it on the other side. So yeah, you can go into extract. I usually keep double-sided out. So this is under subtool. You go extract, and it actually will just preview what the extraction will look like. So I'm going to turn this down. I may turn off smoothing as well. Let's just see. Yeah, it's one thing I've noticed. I've always had a bit of a hard time. I got to research this too. But I find I never quite get the exact shape I want. And a part of this too, I think, is dependent on the resolution that you're at when you mask or when you extract. But extract, so you can have double-sided. I usually don't recommend double-sided unless you plan on seeing both sides of the object. You can try thin borders. I don't know. I don't usually turn these options on. Corner, quads to tries, and I can try that too. That might give you a better mesh. So once you're happy with this, you can just simply hit accept, and now you've got a separate subtool. Now it's automatically masked, so you can just kind of turn that off. And now you can basically sculpt on this thing, right? So maybe I can do a clip curve to maybe straighten up some of this stuff. All right, and then if I really want, I can probably just go Z-remesh this thing. I'll just do, what's the poly count? 4,000. I can just give it the same poly count, turn off adapt, Z-remesh without polygroups. I can just go boom, that's done. Right. Go to brush, insert, maybe insert a few spheres. Oh yeah, this thing has subdivisions, so I'll delete the lower, that's fine. Or I can freeze, which temporarily hides the high subdivisions. And then, there we go. Nice little plate. So it's temporarily hiding the high subdivisions, and then if I unfreeze, it'll bring back the mesh there. Nice. Mad Max style. Yeah, it's pretty awesome hair. How would you scale his ears up so they yeah, they are small and weird. I didn't do anything with the ears. They're just kind of like placeholders. So okay, let me just make sure I'm on that thing here. Yeah, they're kind of far back too. Yeah, clearly I did not finish my sculpt. So you can use the move tool first of all to sort of move this stuff. If you want, you know, I usually go into masking to kind of isolate what I'm kind of working on. Control tap, flip the mask around, and now we can, you know, more freely. Oops, guess I wasn't done in symmetry, but let's try that one more time. So I'll just, so probably without masking first, I would just kind of grab the ear with the move brush. So there's a move brush and there's that move tool, right? The transpose tool that's in the upper left corner. So, I mean, it's a little weird, but you know, each kind of serves a very specific purpose. The move brush allows you to grab big chunks and kind of change proportions on the fly really quickly, right? So now I can, oh, why did it do it in symmetry? It's very odd. Or it did, but it's off. That's really weird. I think, I may have a symmetry issue here, but I guess I'll find out. It's very strange. Let me just solo this thing again. So yeah, I'll just try to, man, that's really odd. Let me take this down a bit. It's always good, actually, when problems do arise, because then you can kind of, that's really strange. I wonder why. I'll just go to skin shade here. Huh, weird. Maybe I wasn't in a completely straight ahead view on this guy. That's very odd. No, if I'm in symmetry and if things are well balanced, it should be a easy. Yeah, it's very weird. Kind of off on both sides. Yeah, maybe this thing is like slightly turned or something. I don't get that. It's very odd. Well, yeah, I mean, honestly, it's funny because I pretty much always work in symmetry up until the very end. It's just faster that way. But yeah, you're right. Like symmetry sculpting, it's kind of a bad crutch in a way too, you know, like, because nothing is really symmetrical. There's always, even in like mechanically made stuff, there's always going to be like slight asymmetries from production issues or whatever. So I wonder, I'm going to just try something out because this is a little bit odd. I just want to see if I go to modify topology, mirror and weld. So mirror and weld should kind of find, man, this thing is like infecting all my files. Yeah, I'll go to mirror and weld. Oop. Oh, you know why? He is out of symmetry, actually. Yeah, I did do an asymmetry sculpt. So, yeah. It's you know, ideally I would have kept a layer. You can actually go to layers and sculpt. I would have kept just one layer with the asymmetry so I can go back to neutral or whatever. But, yeah, I forgot I had done that, actually. Yeah, but you can kind of cheat this a bit. We can just, let's delete the lower. We can go mirror and weld. Do you guys see that? So if you go mirror and weld, it actually flipped the other side over. Yes, 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 it's natural. Asymmetry is perfect and beautiful. Anyways. Let me just blur that. Now, I because I just did a quick mirror and weld, now I get a clean symmetry and I can move those ears or kind of reshape them. So yeah, you know, I haven't done any real sculpting on the ears yet. So we can, let's say, pull out the lobe. Attached or not attached? That is the question, I guess. So yeah, we can kind of start to get the shape in and stuff. So I'm just using, again, the move brush for now. Say to get behind the ears, again, I like clay tubes, or sorry, damn standard a lot. You see I can kind of knock back the shape back there. Yeah, definitely need some more stuff in here as well, shape-wise. Anyways, yeah, so that's kind of the, yeah, it's definitely got way bigger ears now. Yeah, so I'm going to grab the move brush, just kind of pull that down, pull it forward, so it's kind of in a more appropriate place, right? I believe it's like bottom of the nose, and then like mid-brow here is where the ears should be, and I think they should be on a slight angle. Yeah, it depends on where the, yeah, what, if the head's kind of level and all that stuff, right? But yeah, just kind of clean up a little bit behind the ears. Ooh, did I accidentally inflate those? That's weird. Yeah, damn standard. Going damn standard again. You know, this is probably stuff I should have fixed in a more of a Dynamesh mode before I remesh, just because you can see the topology is kind of stretching and stuff in a few spots. So, but I can always remesh again, right? That's kind of one of the beauties of that tool, is you can kind of do it unlimited amounts of times, really. All right, there you go. Again, not a complete ear, but just an example. It looks very elvish now. Yeah, it's been hanging out with the hobbits and shit. Elf piercings. Yeah, elf ears with piercings and bite marks on one of them. Oh my god, this is not a place for fetishes. I'm sorry, zombie. Not right now. Oops, let's turn off my color spray there. I want to get a better blend here into the side of the head. Yeah, I mean, shape-wise, that can all be fixed, right? Again, I'm using the move tool like all the time. And yeah, we should get a little more separation. Yeah, there's really two categories of lobes. Ones that are attached to the head and then ones that are kind of separate and floating. So they're kind of, yeah, again, some stretching there. So I'd have to probably remesh this guy at some point. So for now, he's going to have more attached lobes. Looks like a character from Fallout, yeah. Curious how to do it. So you want to put an earring in. Zombies OC shelf insert. Okay, so yeah, if I go to, I don't know, just, I mean, we'll do a really simple thing here. So we can go subtool, append. I'm going to just try this as is. Chances are I'd have to, ooh, look at that. It's huge. So I'm going to just go to deformation scale. Scale size, there we go. Oh, make sure I'm on the actual tool. It's gonna be a little thick. So let's rotate this guy, holding shift. Excuse me. Let's go transparency. And we'll just use the move tool again. Yeah, if I wanted a better size or whatever, I'd probably go into, it's going to be a funny size actually for that ear. Nice. All right, rotate, no, not on Z, maybe, oops, maybe on Y. Yeah, just move this thing back and over. Okay. Bite marks. Somebody asked for bite marks. Yeah, so bite marks where? I don't know. Let's, yeah, we can do this. You know, it's funny. Let me just Google something here. I'm going to bring my Google window over. I kind of feel like music too, but I hope Twitch doesn't cut me off. Yeah, there's somebody I was listening to called Vanilla, who is like this independent producer type dude. So I hope that doesn't cut the audio out. Okay, so let's go bite impressions. Can you guys still hear me okay? I hope. Looks like somebody would sell band t-shirts from the war. Yeah. Bite impressions. Some disturbing imagery, that's for sure. Oh, didn't mean bite marks. Yeah, because that's what I read. Elf piercings with bite marks on one of them. So I don't know what you meant. Bite marks on the jewelry? It's kind of weird. You're weird, zombie. Yeah, scars. I mean, yeah, we could kind of look up. I mean, you can sculpt it, or yeah, I'll show you guys some interesting things. The ear is ripped. Okay, cool. Zombie's a pervert, everybody. Yeah, so I mean, you could take like an image of like an actual scar, let's say. Yeah, this is kind of awesome. Yeah, so you could take something like that and Photoshop it. Actually, forgot too. Where's my Adobe? I gotta re-sign into my Adobe thing here because Enterprise, yes. Because I switched from a personal license to the school license. Sorry guys, it's gonna take a second. So yeah, I'll show you, I'll just show you guys like a few ways to do this. There's more than one way to bite an earlobe. Sick people. With your sick fetishes. Alright. Alright, there we go. Signing into the cloud. Alright, so yeah, let's, I guess I'll save this image. The one thing I don't like about it is it's kind of cropped badly, which is a bit of a pain, but some interesting stuff out there. Nice. Ooh. Wonderful. I guess the Creative Cloud's going to take its time here. All right. Yeah, so let me, while this is maybe hopefully signing in. Yeah, well, update cloud, Creative Cloud. So yeah, okay, so this is something that's kind of cool that I figured, found out how to do, I guess only in like the last 6 months or so, which is really, really useful. So in ZBrush, I'm gonna go, so this tool is kind of open. Let me just switch the subtool so I can see it better in the palette. So you see this is my character dude. If I switch over to a plane, so it's gonna, you see this is the dock I was talking about. So there's just a simple plane. Oh yeah, so somebody was talking about like rips. Oops, rips in the ear. Zombie. Rips like this. So I'll show you a couple different things. I'll show you how to make a scar brush. So ZBrush is amazing for this. So right now I've just got this. This is what's called a, well, it's a plane, right? It's a 3D plane in ZBrush. And right now it just has like wireframe like this, a simple wireframe. So I'm just going to go make Polymesh 3D, which allows it to be sculptable. So I'm going to do that. If I rotate, I want to make sure perspective is off too. This is very important. So perspective is off. I'm going to rotate and hold shift. And I'm going to zoom in until this basically fills the screen. I'll turn off polyframe. My poly count, I don't know. I've got a weird setup in this version of ZBrush. I'm going to have to change my configuration, but I'm going to divide the crap out of this thing because I want a nice high-res sculpt. So I'm going to go divide, 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 and maybe divide one more time. So, yeah, I'm going to try this. I'm going to experiment a little bit with this. So I'm going to go in with a draw size here. Something like this. Let me see, lazy mouse. I'm going to turn down lazy step. So, by the way, when you guys are drawing, and if you notice in ZBrush, sometimes you get these like broken strokes. First thing I usually do is switch the stroke type to freehand. That usually helps, but you may still get this kind of like broken line. So this is, there's a function. Okay, so this is better in freehand mode. So this is a little bit smoother. So yeah, if you have lazy mouse off, just switching from dots to freehand can help. But a lot of times I make sure I'm in freehand. I'm going to lazy mouse. Lazy mouse is a great tool. Because yeah, like here, if we turn up lazy radius and maybe lazy smooth, if you want a smooth stroke and you're not getting it, you can sort of get this really nice averaging or smoothing out of the stroke. I've got a really shaky hand actually, so a few, you know, a lot of times I have to kind of redraw, but lazy mouse kind of helps that. And if I go down, if I turn lazy radius to 1, lazy smooth to 1, and then set this usually to like 0.0, 0.01, 0.02, you get a solid smooth stroke, which is really, really nice. So now, so let's just do this as a kind of quick, let me just see what the depth on that is. That's pretty deep actually, but let's say I go across here with like the kind of, just kind of go back and forth to get this weird, gross, rippling stuff in the scar. Just gonna do this real quick. Then I'm gonna sort of smooth back a bit. Okay, so this is a flat plane. I'm parallel to the canvas. I'm gonna just center this a little better. If you go to alpha, alpha creates, not alpha create, alpha, I think it's under make 3D. Not make 3D, sorry. Yeah, we've moved this in a few spots. So alpha grab doc, I believe. Grab doc, it grabs a copy of the document, and you see it actually grabbed a snapshot of this alpha. So now if I go back over here, if I go to drag, right? Now I'm getting a little bit of an issue here. Let me divide this mesh too. This mesh is a little low res for doing some of this detail work, but, and it's going in the opposite direction. So I'm going to go to alpha inverse to flip it because I want it to come, I guess in this case I want it to pop out. Actually, sorry, I gotta be careful. I'm in the damn center brush. I usually will do this sort of stuff. So let me just go to the brush palette and reset all my brushes. Reset all brushes. There we go. I'll go to the standard brush, drag. And I'll probably do this outside of symmetry. I'm going to grab the alpha that I just made, which is this guy. I probably want this version. Yeah, no. I'll go with the inverse version. You notice you're getting a little square there, right? So what I'll do is I'm going to go into alpha. I'm going to modify this. So kind of like in Photoshop, we can adjust the contrast on this. I'm going to maybe raise the white area a little bit and then make the black area a little darker so I don't get that outline. I just get the sort of scar. And if I divide this again, I probably need a higher resolution for this to actually show up. Yeah, so that's one way we can kind of like create some custom features in a brush or in an alpha. So I can kind of give them like, let's get the right intensity going here. There. Give them a bunch of scars if you want. Yes. Using my own joke against me, eh? Anyways, yeah, so the other method I was going to show you is just like using Photoshop or using like, I don't know if I have Crazy Bump installed. I don't think I do. No, I don't think I do. So yeah, like Crazy Bump, or like other image processors, you can kind of turn, here, let me see if I can find just like an alpha, but you can turn, or what's called like a height map or a displacement map. So you can take a photo and convert it into almost like a normal map. Damn it. What's going on? So yeah, scar. I'll just look up displacement map or height map. I'm not sure if there are any out there, but yeah, I'd rather like Photoshop it myself or yeah. So yeah, this is kind of the idea too. So if you're in ZBrush, you could sculpt this and then just grab the alpha from the sculpt, you know? Unfortunately, I think because of the resolution, I didn't get all those grooves in there, but resolution, by the way, is limited by your document size, which is here. So I probably want this to be like 2000 by 2000 or something, 2048 by, oh man, hitting all sorts of buttons badly tonight. Document. I'm going to turn off proportion, 2048 by 2048. Resize. Yeah, let's resize. Let's clear the document. Hit enter mode. Okay, so that's the actual kind of document space then. Yeah, I probably should have made the grooves and stuff in the scar a little bigger as well, but okay. So I'll just exaggerate this so I get a little more. Whew. Yeah, let's try that. Looks kind of like a worm. All right, let's do this real quick just to give you guys an impression here. So yeah, if we go alpha, transfer, alpha transfer, grab dock. You should see those lines now, right, in the alpha. And it actually kind of grabs the height of that brush relative to the camera view or the document view. So let me just go back. So I'm going to go back to new document, which will fit the window size. So I don't want to keep that. That's fine. You go away now. I'll go back to this guy. Jeez, having all sorts of problems right now. There we go. So I think if we go back to the standard brush, we got the new document. So yeah, you see when this drags out now, you got that scar effect. All right, pretty cool. right? Oh yeah, somebody said, well, okay, so somebody wants to see the unwrap. Somebody else wants to see the ear thing I didn't do yet. So yeah, you can do a couple things like with the ear. I mean, I could try just like damn standard. So let me just try to maybe I'll isolate the mesh in one area. So I'm holding Control Shift and I'm going to switch to the lasso type. So Control Shift right now is a select rectangle. It's a good look. Yeah, so just so this isolated, I could try to just kind of hammer at this with the, right? Damn standard brush and tear that away. And eventually you might need to kind of, go in and change the topology because the topology right now is probably a bit of a limiting factor on this. So that's one way to kind of chew away at the ear. Right? So you see that kind of like gouging effect. Another way to do it, let me just do this. I'm going to unhide everything. So I'll unhide everything. And what I'll do is I'll come in, hide that bit. Now this thing has subdivision, so I will have to either delete the lower or delete the higher. In this case, maybe I'll just delete lower. Go to Modify Topology. So I've hidden that part by holding Control-Shift-Alt. So Control-Shift-Alt with Select Rectangle. You see it's actually hidden, but it's hollow. So I have to go to Close Holes under Geometry, Modify Topology. And of course, it just probably filled it right in. So yeah, I think maybe not the best idea. Yeah, sadly it didn't subtract here, but okay, so I'll show you another option actually. Another way to do this, again, this is usually best done in a, what's it called, in a Dynamesh situation. So if we go to Brush, there's something called Curve Tubes or Curve Quad Fill or Curve Tri-Fill. Either one doesn't really matter, but what this allows you to do is just kind of draw another shape on top here, right? But if you do that while holding Alt, so Alt, draw the shape. I'm going to actually make this thing, so I'm going to scale this thing wider. So it goes through the model. Oops. Just scale it this way. Oh man, really scaled it in a weird way. So I usually use the move version of the tool because I find it just easier to give this thing a better thickness. There we go. So it'll cleanly cut through. Yeah, let's do this. So I'm going to just tap off the model here. Is he in Dynamesh? I think he is. Let me just bring the resolution down a bit as well so I can deal with this a little more quickly. Clear the mask. Control, click, and drag. And now, actually, we've got like a chunk taken out of the ear. So let's just turn off RGB. Actually, I'll turn RGB. I just want to fill this thing with a color. Fill object. There we go. So you see that bit is taken out of the ear now, right? All right. So somebody wanted to see unwrapping. I'll just kind of show you a simplified version, I guess. So we'll, if we're on a sphere, so weird. So again, I got to make this sphere a poly mesh. It's got to be a live editable model. Now, if it's something you've imported from Maya or something, then it'll work. You know, you won't have to do that because it's already a customized mesh. But just take the divisions down on this thing before I make poly mesh. So make poly mesh. So yeah, usually when I'm doing UVs, I want to do it by what's it called? By polygroups. So I'm gonna hit Shift F. I'm gonna usually do this either via masking. I actually like to use it via the rectangle, select rectangle. So Control Shift. Yeah, let's say we grab the top here. Control W. So that's a new polygroup. Control Shift, click and drag. So make sure I grab that whole section below. Control W. And now we've got 3 groups, right? So UV plugin, UV master, turn on polygroups, unwrap. Cool. Blink and you miss it, right? So I usually copy UVs if because again, ZBrush doesn't like to do certain functions with subdivisions. So if you have a subdivided model, you have to go to the low subdivision, freeze it. But when you unfreeze it, it loses the UVs. So you have to copy them from this version, which may be frozen, and then paste them onto the unfrozen version with all the subdivision levels. So you paste it back onto the same low res. We'll go to flatten, and there's your flattened UVs. Okay. So that's kind of a quick way to get UVs. So now let's say if I divide the crap out of this thing and sculpt it. I don't know, I'm just going to do some random stuff here. What's cool about this is like, if we go to UV map. So if you guys notice, like the more I sort of show you guys stuff, like there's basically a masking menu, which a lot of it is just through Control Alt, Control Shift. So you can blur masking. So control tapping on the model is blurring the mask. Sharpening the mask is control alt tapping on the model. Clearing the mask is control click dragging. And there's a lot of extra masking options. There's polygroups, which again, control W is my quick auto group by masked areas or visible areas. Can you edit UVs live in ZBrush? Not exactly, no. It's pretty much just tools. So like one thing I can do is I can actually go Z plugin, enable control painting. Oh, I guess I divided this and it doesn't like it again, so I'm gonna have to freeze this thing. So yeah, you go Z plugin. You can do control painting, which then allows you to go and say protect areas from receiving splits in the UV. So you're literally just saying, oh, don't split the mesh here. Z plugin, and then we could say attract, and we could say, oh, let's attract a UV seam right here. That's it. So now if we unwrap, so this is, I've actually got divisions and I froze this, so this is probably a good example. So I'm going to just copy UVs, I'm going to flatten this just to see. So now the split is happening where I told it to attract seams. Unflatten, unfreeze. And then I have to go to the low res, Z plugin, paste UVs. So yeah, you can't really live edit. You can't like stitch and sew and stuff, at least in this, as of this version, and I think even in 4R8, but I'm sure that'll be a set of features that'll be coming soon. So now I'm just gonna go to my UV section, which it's basically telling ZBrush what texture size I want, and I can bake textures from painting. If I did painting, I can create a displacement map based on my high-res sculpt, right? So you guys see that? I can create a normal map based on the sculpt. And it's baking it out according to the UVs. So that's a great way to kind of work between. So this is how we get stuff like out of Maya, or sorry, out of ZBrush into like something like Maya, right? Because you typically need a lower res mesh, and then we can kind of still grab all the high res detail. This is how games do it too, right? So we're just kind of capturing high-res detail, but baking it out to a lower resolution mesh via the UVs, right? All right. The UVs, right? All right. Okay. Will it crash a lot with 16 gigs? RAM heavy? Kind of. Not really, actually. The UVs, right? No. So, yeah, I mean, sorry guys, just give me 1 second. Yeah, no, in terms of performance, check this out. Preferences, memory. By default, this current version, 4R7, will only use 4 gigs of RAM. So no, it's not going to crap out. Yeah, I mean, ZBrush is actually incredibly efficient. It's actually really CPU heavy, so if your processor kind of sucks... sorry, yeah, I was just putting in my music here. So yeah, if your processor is not so strong, then you're not going to get a lot of performance out of Zbrush. Sorry guys, just adjusting here a bit. Yeah, so it's all CPU. Zbrush is pretty much, it definitely uses RAM, but yeah, you want to focus on that processor a lot. And I think, yeah, I mean, a lot of machines now that you guys are kind of working on at home and stuff should probably have about 16 gigs. Yeah, somebody says they've got an i7 6700. That's actually great. It's a good processor. Man, I really need a better mic stand. Alright. Yeah, any other questions, I guess? Alright. Anything else? What time is it? Alright, we've been going about 2 hours, which is usually about the length of time that I feel is appropriate for a live stream, I think, for Zbrush or Maya or whatever. It's funny, no Maya questions today. It's kind of odd, but all right. Okay, so yeah, I mean, I don't know what else I could show. I mean, there's basically like insert brushes, which are kind of cool. So there's a bunch. If you actually just go B for brush and then hit I, there's inserts. So for, you know, this is kind of like the Maya tool I showed you guys, where you can kind of drag. Again, Maya doesn't like it, or sorry, Zbrush doesn't like it when you have subdivisions for this, so you have to freeze your subdivisions. And you can drag out, you know, little copies of tools, and if you hit M, so what these are called IMM, insert multi-mesh. So what that basically means is you've got regular insert brushes, which are basically like B for brush, I for insert. There's just like insert cylinder, so you can insert cylinders. But if you go to B for brush, I for insert, and you go to IMM, there's what that basically means is that there's multiple mesh available within that. So if I hit the M key, right, you got all these kind of sub objects that you can kind of drag in and drop onto the surface of an object. What's interesting about this too, like, is if I go to stroke, you can activate curve mode and get a whole chain of things dropped onto the surface, and you can live interactively move that stuff around. So once you drag out a curve and you want to drop it, you just click off of that area and you can drag out another one. Yeah, Maya's jelly now. Yeah, I mean, Maya's actually now got a couple tools built into it that does painting, but the new one I'm kind of getting into a little bit is the Mash network, which is kind of interesting. But and some of these, like, there are curve brushes as well. So if you go to B for brush, C for curve, you know, there are a couple of curved tube type brushes, or no, maybe it's, yeah, let me go back here. Yeah, there's actually, well, there's a few that are just called IMM curves. So this one's actually in curve mode, it's just a belt, right? So, and it's kind of interesting, how do you create one of these? Like, I'll maybe just show you guys quickly here. We'll go to, yeah, let's grab a ring. I'm gonna make a real simple example of one of these. Yeah, I'm gonna go to the initialize just because I want to take the divisions down in this guy a little bit. Okay, so I'll hit Shift F. Let's go to make polymesh. Okay, so I'm gonna just isolate 1/2 here. Yeah, let me just go to Control W. I'll go to B for brush, Z for Z modeler. Z modeler is actually a Maya style mesh editing tool. So if you hover over polygons, it just extrudes. If you hover over edges, it will insert loops actually. So I'm going to quickly, this is by default. And if you hit spacebar, so if you're hovering over polygons, hit spacebar, it gives you different actions. So you can delete, insert loops, you can do cuts and stuff, and move and weld and unweld and stuff, and you can do that for a single poly, for a poly loop. So we can, if I go poly loop for example, you see I can extrude that way really quickly. Boom, boom, boom. And we can do this, I believe, in symmetry as well. I don't know if my symmetry is set up on the right axis here. Yeah, I'm kind of flipped the wrong way, but this is pretty awesome, right? Okay, so we'll do that. I'm going to just quickly insert a loop here, and then a loop here. And then I'm going to, yeah, just make visible that group, oops, this group. I'm going to just hide off that little loop that I created on either side. And you'll see why in a second, so. Okay, so I'm going to take this and just move it. And then unhide. So that extra loop allowed me to kind of pull that part off. Alright, so I hit Control W to make this a quick and easy loop. Let's just go back to a regular standard brush. Now, another interesting function in in Zbrush, I keep saying Maya, but yeah, if we go click and drag the move tool out, I'm going to hold Control, click and drag, go to deformation, rotate on the wrong axis, I guess, nope, X. Okay, so that's cool. Now I'm gonna go to Subtool, append a cube. So I'm gonna show you how this works. It's really awesome actually in ZBrush. I really love this stuff. So I'm gonna move this guy down a little bit. Yeah, I'll leave it like that, I guess. I'm gonna actually take this and Control click and drag again. So I'm gonna take the move tool. Actually, let me click on this guy. Actually, I'll go to, yeah, I'm getting a little confused here, but yeah, I'll just actually duplicate this tool, move it down. So we got kind of like a starting point for this thing. So yeah, that's, which one is which? Okay, this is the one down here. Let me move this guy down in the list. I'm gonna auto group this, just to make it easy. So if we hit Shift F, we go to polygroups, we go to auto group, and I'm just going to Control Shift click on the one I don't want anymore, and I'm going to go to delete hidden. Take this guy. So this is just kind of a quick example for you guys, but So I'm going to merge this subtool and this subtool together. So I'm going to click on this tool, go to merge, just like Photoshop, merge down, say OK. I'm going to hit Control W. So this is kind of important. So this is going to be one polygroup. The end point is going to be one polygroup. This middle chain part is another polygroup. And then I'll create a top end as well. So I'm going to take this guy, Z plugin. I'm going to go to Subtool Master and Mirror. I'm going to do, I don't want to merge into one subtool yet. I'm going to mirror, I think, on the Y-axis. Is that right? No. So let's figure out what axis we're on here. Mirror on, I should have checked my axis at the beginning. I usually do actually, but I'm kind of a little screwed up in this case, so that's okay. So Z plugin, I guess I'm gonna have to go to X. Mirror on X. There we go. No, it's being very odd. Why are you doing this ZBrush? That's okay. So I'll take this guy. I'm gonna go to deformation, and I'm just gonna try to mirror this thing. Mirror on Z. No. Mirror on Y. No. Mirror on X. There we go. Very odd. Now technically, that end piece, I probably need to twist it or turn it, so I'm going to go to, again, auto groups, or polygroups, and then auto group. Auto group, and then I'm going to control, so I'm going to go control tap with the move tool on that one piece. Go to deformation and rotate this again, another, what, 90 degrees basically? Alright, so I've control, click and drag to clear the mask, hit control W. So that's one group. Let's go back to subtool. I'm going to merge all these subtools. So I'll go to the top group, merge down, merge down. So you see I've got three groups, right? So if I go to the brush menu, so click on the brush in the upper left corner, ZBrush, brush, create insert mesh, create a new insert brush. So now if I go back to whatever my weird example was over here, and actually I'll just undo so we get back to a simpler sphere. And let's just delete the subdivisions, delete higher, there we go. So you see if I drag this out, right, it just kind of drags copies. But because there's three polygroups in that tool, what's interesting is that if I go to stroke, curve mode, now we get this. You guys see that? Pretty rad. So what it's basically doing is it's looking at the three polygroups that I set up as a beginning, a middle, and an end. The alpha, the omega, and everything in between, if you want to think of it that way. Pretty awesome, right? So you can design anything you can think of that way, right? It's pretty sweet. Yeah, ZBrush, like I said, it's a whole other level of just awesomeness. You know, Maya, despite its bugs and stuff, can still do a lot of great stuff. But ZBrush is just, it's alien technology, like I said, from the future. Yeah, amazing, amazing stuff. So yeah, like a lot of people do like custom belts, clothing bits. I mean, like I said, I do a lot of organic stuff, so I don't really build a lot of these things. I mean, I should probably get into more of the mechanical, you know, people have, there's like clothing stitching brushes. By the way, I'm going to promote something here. Not in typical Twitch fashion. No donations, please. Yeah, there's this guy called Michael, is it Michael Duncan? XMD ZBrush. Michael Dunham, sorry. Michael Dunham has, now you can get a lot of free brushes, okay? So you can get free brushes here, but he has brushes for like stitches. So some of these are just alphas, so you click and drag out an alpha and it gives you like quick stitch patterns and stuff. I've got this, by the way. So you can buy these for like $5 a piece, but what I find is most worthwhile, especially if you're getting into modeling. It's funny, I think a lot of the modeling students from last year who are really into modeling now or want to be modelers, they've signed up for this. So $48 regular is not a terrible price. It is American bucks, so it's probably like 60 Canadian, 65 maybe, but it does go on sale. I've seen it go on sale. It's a lifetime membership. And you get all these amazing brushes. So you get like patterns, you get like this, it's funny, I think this used to be free actually, but, or there might be a free set somewhere. Yeah, there's a couple of freebies. So there's like, you know, some quick brushes, some tech stuff. So a lot of it's either based on alphas. Jesse, yeah. Yeah, so there's, a bunch, like there's 196 free brushes, which is great. So if you just want to grab some stuff, there's like architectural damage. So again, some of the stuff is based on, by the way, you guys, yeah, I've got a copy somewhere. I bought the membership. I don't know if I have it on this machine actually. I gotta do a quick check on that actually. XMD, I don't know if I have it on here. But yeah, let me, maybe I can just download one or two from my personal drive here. So it might take a second just because there's a bunch of these files. But anyways, I highly recommend it. There's like texture sets, there's all sorts of really, really awesome stuff, you know? So there's like different kind of skin pores and stuff. Yeah, and you know, like some of them are a little rough around the edges, but I mean, they're really amazing and you can do all sorts of crazy stuff. So you know, part of modeling too is kind of like knowing how and when and where to access like mesh resources. There's also like other freebies. I believe it's called Bad King is the website. So Bad King, again, you have to create a login to get in there. But once you're logged in, so these are insert brushes, for example, right? So this, some of them are like curve brushes, some of them are insert brushes. Twitch is better than Land School, yeah? It's funny, is it faster to watch it on Twitch? It probably is, eh? Maybe I should just start twitching for class. Well, yeah, I mean the one problem, so yeah, Twitch is faster than Land School, eh? Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it is with Land School. I guess it's just the nature of the technology that's driving it, but, so yeah, if I don't know if I have any of these. I wonder, I'll find something that's a little interesting. So, you know, while I do recommend, you know, when you're learning modeling, it is important to, like, build stuff like, you know, yeah, you should learn how to kind of build a screw, a nut, a bolt, like some of those basic things you should learn how to build. Oh, really? It's funny, I always forget how laggy Land School is. Yeah, I think, I'm not sure. I think I said on my Twitch that videos just, they don't last more than like 2 weeks or 6 weeks, but I don't know, I could probably change that. Yeah, I don't know, I gotta find a new home, because I don't know, I'm not crazy about the Twitch setup, because it's just open to everybody, and I don't necessarily just want anybody to hop on and ask questions. I mean, not that I care, but I'd rather the focus go to the students of my classes, you know? Anyways, yeah, like you could try to download some of this stuff, but again, for the modeling class, you know, I do want you guys to try to, you know, get in the habit of building some of this stuff yourself. And what's great too is like all the projects that we work on, you wind up building your own sort of mini library of mesh that you can actually wind up going back to and referring back to. So Bad King, by the way, really, really great. I mean, most of their stuff I think is free. There might be a couple of meshes here or there that are, yeah, like what is this? This is just all like mechanical machine parts. So we just add this to my cart, I'll download it, and then I'll show you how to kind of load a brush. Proceed to checkout. Okay, so place the order. Yeah, like I said, so somebody else, I think somebody else just asked the same thing. Is the video saved? I believe so. I have to check my settings. I'm not sure how long videos will last. I'm wondering, maybe I should just like get Twitch to automatically clone this stuff to my YouTube or something, you know? Yeah, I gotta research this. I forget if I set kind of like an expiry on these, so automatically archive my broadcasts. Yeah, so I think it's actually just saving them. I guess it doesn't delete them. But yeah, I'd have to check my videos and see. I don't know. I'm a terrible Twitcher, I guess. Yeah. Let's see. Let's delete that one. Yeah, I think I've got a Twitch. Yeah, well, the one that's recording now looks like it's gonna stay, but I don't know. Again, I don't know how long this will last. Can you build brushes and alphas in Maya? Yeah, I mean, look, anything you bring into Zbrush, you can turn into an alpha or create, like, have an insert brush of, right? So if I, let me just say I do this. So if I go extrude, extrude again, extrude again, we'll do another extrude, nice and lazy here, we'll go edge mode, and I'm going to bevel these actually just so I get a little bit of like detailing, I guess, for the mesh. You know, if you plan on using inserts, though, you gotta be careful not to have your poly count too high, but I'm not sure if my GoZ, yeah, I guess my GoZ isn't set up, because my 2017 a bit newer than ZBrush 4R7, so it's a little broken there, so I'm just gonna have to export an OBJ. So we'll go OBJ thingy. I should name this more properly. I'm gonna turn up material export. I usually don't care about material exports. Go to where'd you go, ZBrush? Weird, did I close ZBrush? I guess I did. Oh, no, still there. Okay, so yeah, so if I go into let's see. Yeah, let's just go to, usually when you're importing something, I usually like to go to kind of one of these default meshes. Doesn't really matter which one, because sometimes ZBrush will automatically replace a current mesh with a new imported mesh if you're importing an OBJ. It's a little weird that way. So yeah, so now you see I've got that tool, right? So if by the way, when you're creating an insert, what you want to do is look at the tool from the top view down. So you're going to imagine like the bottom side is where it's going to attach or like be aligned to the surface. So you want to, boom, you know, align, and then you want to shift. So while you're clicking and dragging, hold shift. Go to brush menu, create insert, new, and then I guess I'll go back to this other object here. So when you drag out, you see it drags out. Now check this out too. The depth is, we go to brush, there's depth. So you can set this to be further in the mesh, right? So it'll actually rest more inside the mesh. So you see that? It's kind of like inside the mesh a little bit. Now, what's cool about ZBrush, let's say you want to keep those separate pieces, you know, because you may want to smooth the thing underneath, but not smooth those, like, pistons or whatever those things are that I made. You can actually go to split. You can either go just group split or split to... What I do is split to similar parts, because all those pistons that I used with the insert brush, split to similar parts. I'm just going to say always okay. You see it actually knows that they're pretty much the same mesh and split them off automatically. It's a very, very decent system. It doesn't always work great, but you know, now I've got these things kind of isolated, right? And then I can keep sculpting on the other piece here. And oops, yeah. Let me just switch to a standard brush, clear the mask, Control D. Right, so I can now. Oops, what am I on here? Huh. It's weird. Oh, I see. I'm on the scar brush. I'm gonna just turn this off, go back to stroke. There we go. It's weird. Huh. Strange. Oh, I see. Because I'm only in RGB mode, I should be in Z add or Z subtract. There we go. So yeah, now I can kind of keep sculpting underneath that stuff and isolate that way. I'm gonna initialize my ZBrush. But yeah, so this thing, right? So let's say I want to make an alpha out of it. You know, what I could do, and maybe I'll just divide this thing a couple times as well. Yeah, it's kind of weird, but whatever. So I'll just, again, top view. Alpha, I'll try to grab dock. So there you go. So now, this is actually based on mesh here, or sorry, on an alpha. So I'll just divide the crap out of this guy. Alpha, drag. So now this is actually pulling this out of the mesh as an alpha, right? So so for this you do typically need much higher divisions, and maybe I'll take the divisions down or the intensity down a little bit. It's kind of cool. You can kind of throw patterns and stuff like that in that way as well. So I hope that kind of gives you guys a lot of different insights into ZBrush, right? So there's sort of two ways, right, to bring in extra detail. As an alpha, where it pulls it out of one existing surface, or to insert it with an insert brush. And then you can drop it on a surface, you know? So let's go back. And you can save these out. So when you click on the brush that you've made, I'm not sure if you can rename them, actually. I'm not sure where that function is. I haven't really played around too much with naming, but you can go save as. So when you save as, it creates a ZBP, which is a ZBrush preset. ZBrush brush preset. So then you can carry that with you wherever you go, you know? Oh, that's why I couldn't sculpt. I think I was on a frozen mesh, but yeah. And of course, if you want, you can turn on curve mode and then boop, 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 make all sorts of copies. By the way, if you go to stroke, I believe it's curve step. If you increase the curve step, you have a bigger gap between the pieces. And if you go down, so I think it's like 1 is pretty much like side by side. If you go less than 1, you get another interesting kind of overlap. Alright, so you guys have any other questions? What time is it, man? It's probably late. Oh, it's not too late. 10:50? So yeah. Hope that was a good night for everybody. Not sure. How many people do we have in this stream still? It's weird. I can't see who's where. Yes. Nice, 18. Yeah, it's weird. I couldn't see. I don't know. I couldn't see everybody. Yeah, I'm out of practice with live streaming, so next one should be better. I'm hoping. Yeah, I don't know. Yes. Actually, I've been really wanting to get rights to this song to use it in a demo reel or a short film or something, but like, yeah. Please like and subscribe. Do I really care? I don't really care, because I got the job. And when I need more money, I go out and make it. Alright, so I don't care. I don't care if you like or subscribe me. Do whatever the hell you want. By the way, Zbrush, Pixelogic is the name. Pixelogic is also, I believe, live right now on Twitch. Let me just kind of pop in and take a look and see if I can see their stream. Yeah. So, you know, you can learn from some real masters. Those guys over there are crazy, crazy artists. So yeah, let me just paste in, I guess, the link to their stream. So that's who you definitely want to follow. And there's tons of other people on here. I've only started following a few people on Twitch. It's funny, I don't really check out Twitch that often. I usually go to YouTube for any kind of ZBrush. So I'm going to spam you guys with some links. Yeah, Matt Thorpe's pretty cool. Anyways, yeah, if you follow, actually, I do have a YouTube channel, a new YouTube channel, mainly geared towards all these tutorials and stuff. You know, I guess I could automatically sync up my YouTube and Twitch so that the old streams will be there. But yeah, I'm gonna just kind of wrap this up, I guess. Sorry, guys. I'm always so damn long-winded. There's the channel. So you've got my individual tutorials from class there, and you can. I think you can go and look at all my subscriptions. There's a bunch of playlists that I've got. There's some, you know. So anyways, there's a lot of really good stuff in there. Yeah. So hope tonight was useful. Oh, there we go. Total views I can see now. 309 currently watching. Alright. Cool. Oh yeah, I didn't show you guys this. So I downloaded this tool. I always forget stuff. I'm really... What do you call it? I have a feeling I have some ADD somewhere in me, but... So I just downloaded this thing. This is the mech kit thing from Bad King. So again, if you guys are kind of interested in seeing how that loads, it's always something to show you guys, but... Yeah, I might just start twitching classes then. Damn. If this is better and faster... Ugh. Oh god, I hate this version of this model. I gotta finish this project too at some point. Alright, so, yeah, let me just see, there's, so in the download, I think it gave me just raw OBJs of stuff, which is okay. Then there's an actual brush, and then there's actual ZTL, which is a Z tool, which is my preferred format for saving. So that's in the tool palette. You go load tool or save as if you're saving. It's going to load this guy, and that's going to load up, what is it going to load up? Nice. So that is, I guess, this guy's multi-faceted Z tool. So yeah, when you're saving projects, I mean, a lot of people go just file save as, open. I don't like Z projects, they suck. I mean, it's good if you're doing any lighting, rendering in ZBrush, but I think, you know, if you do that outside, just save as ZTL. Texturing you can save as ZTL, so that's save as ZTL. So I went to load, and then there's a ZTL. If you want to do the individual OBJs, you can just go import. So import is a little different, right? That's for OBJs. Then you've got these different parts, right? There's the mesh. And then we've got, so yeah, if I go back to like the cylinder thing here, or any mesh object, and I'm gonna maybe divide this guy. Divide this guy a bit. So yeah, the other way is to go to, again, brush palette, load brush. So a lot of people, when they set up inserts and alphas and stuff, they just do it this way. So now we click and drag. Oh yeah, I got a freeze, or in this case, I'll just delete low. So if we hit, again, this is an insert multi-mesh, so you hit M, you've got the different gear parts and stuff. So I should have, you know, it's something I forgot actually to show this year is that your 6 for your environments and stuff, like especially if you got like sci-fi stuff, you can literally drop this stuff out, and you could have like taken stuff from Z Tools or whatever from these other, from these other kind of inserts. So that would be cool, you know, for mechanical, industrial, sci-fi environments. So again, I'll just hit M, and again, there's different parts. And if you wanted to take any of those and drag them out as a, weird, is this skewed now? This seems very odd. Yeah, I'm gonna have to reset my brush palette, I think. Reset all brushes. So I'll go back, I guess I have to reload that brush. Yeah, it's coming out all skewed actually, it's very odd. Initializing Zbrush. Okay, so let's go back. Brush. Yeah, weird. Not sure why it's coming out all warped now. Anyways, so that's the basic way to kind of bring in your brushes and whatnot. Have to figure that one out. Alright guys. Have a good night.